Something very interesting just happened in Osun State. Ademola Adeleke has just defeated the APC and won another term as governor of Osun State. But what happened immediately after that victory is what caught people's attention, because Adeleke didn't just celebrate his victory. He thanked President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for what he described as a free and fair election. And then he reaffirmed his support for Tinubu's second-term bid in 2027. Now, before we get into what that means, if you are new here, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because we are going to be following these 2027 political moves closely, and I don't want you to miss the next one. Now, listen to what Adeleke said.
At this point, I must deeply appreciate Mr. President, His Excellency, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for his strong support for a free and fair election. Mr. President is a son of Osun State, and I hereby reaffirmed my earlier endorsement of him for a second term in the 2027 presidential election.
Now hold on, because this is where this story gets really interesting. A governor who just defeated the APC candidates in his own state is standing there thanking the president and reaffirming his support for that same president in 2027. And if you have been following Osun politics, you know why that deserves a second look. Because for weeks, the conversation around this election wasn't simply about Adeleke versus APC. People were already trying to calculate what this election would mean for 2027. Who would Osun support? Would the state become another opportunity for the opposition? Could Peter Obi benefit from the anger against the APC? Could Atiku's camp benefit? Could the wider opposition coalition use Osun as proof that APC could actually be defeated? Well, we now have the results. Adeleke won, but then he turned around and endorsed Tinubu. And that creates a very interesting political puzzle. Because remember this, before the election, there were people already making predictions about what Osun voters were going to do. The argument was that people of Osun could see what was happening politically, and that this could become an opportunity for Peter Obi and the opposition.
Obi as president. Now, in the southwest, Mr. Peter Obi will defeat the president.
In the southwest?
In the southwest. In Lagos, he defeated him last time.
Okay, so
the people of Osun are seeing what the president is doing to them, having seized their location for months now. Mr. Peter Obi will defeat him there.
Now, look at what actually happened. Adeleke won the election, but he didn't come out and say Osun has rejected Tinubu. He said the opposite. He thanked Tinubu, he called him a son of Osun State, and he reaffirmed his support for Tinubu in 2027. So what exactly are we supposed to make of this? Does it mean that the prediction about Osun was completely wrong? Not necessarily, because we have to separate two different things here. Adeleke winning Osun does not mean Peter Obi has lost Osun for 2027. And Adeleke supporting Tinubu does not mean every person who voted for Adeleke is automatically going to vote for Tinubu. We don't have that information. But it does tell us something very important about Nigerian politics. We cannot assume that a state that rejects APC in a governorship election will automatically reject Tinubu in a presidential election. Those are two completely different elections, and Osun has just given us a perfect example of that. Adeleke contested under accord. He defeated the APC candidate Bola Oyebamiji, and yet, politically, he is still saying, I support Bola Ahmed Asiwaju Jagaban for 2027. That is why I don't think the biggest story here is simply Adeleke wins Osun. The bigger story is what this victory tells us about the political calculations already happening ahead of 2027. And this is where I think the opposition should actually pay attention. Because what just happened in Osun proves something very simple. APC can be beaten. It just happened. The APC candidate lost. Adeleke won under another political platform. So, anybody saying APC is simply unbeatable should look at Osun again. But here's the problem. Defeating APC in Osun is one thing. Defeating Tinubu in a presidential election across Nigeria is something completely different. And this is where the opposition has a serious job ahead of them. Because you cannot win a national election simply by saying people are angry with APC. You need structure. You need organization, you need people on the ground, you need voters to actually come out, and you need the opposition to stop fighting itself long enough to agree on what exactly it wants to achieve. And this brings us to the coalition conversation, because while all of this is happening in Osun, there are already efforts to bring opposition forces together ahead of 2027. Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Rabi Kwankwaso, Seyi Makinde, and other opposition figures are being discussed as part of attempts to build a stronger opposition platform. The G100 has also been holding consultations with opposition parties and has announced an opposition summit for August 18. So imagine you are sitting in one of those meetings right now and you are looking at what just happened in Osun. What are you thinking? Because on one hand, you are seeing something encouraging. You are seeing an APC candidate lose. You are seeing another political party win. You are seeing that the ruling party can actually be defeated when the conditions are right. But on the other hand, the man who just defeated APC is publicly supporting Tinubu for 2027. That has to make you think. Now, I don't want to sit here and pretend I know exactly what is inside Adeleke's head. That is not our job, but there are several questions Nigerians are going to ask. Is this simply political strategy? Is it about maintaining a relationship with the federal government? Is it about what Adeleke believes is best for Osun? Is it about Yoruba political interests? Or is this simply the way Nigerian politics works, where today's opponent can become tomorrow's ally? And remember, Adeleke had already endorsed Tinubu earlier this year. So today's statement is actually a reaffirmation of an existing position, not a completely new endorsement. But viewers, the timing is what makes it interesting. He has just won an election in which APC was defeated, and immediately after that victory, he is publicly thanking Tinubu and reaffirming his support for him. And that is the part people are going to talk about. And this is where I think Peter Obi, Atiku, Seyi Makinde, and the other opposition figures need to look beyond just Osun. Because the question isn't, can we win Osun? The question is, can we build something that works nationally? Can they agree on one candidate? Can they agree on one platform? Can they stop the internal competition long enough to actually compete against the ruling party? Because let's be honest, if you have Atiku supporters saying one thing, Obi supporters saying another, Kwankwaso supporters pushing another direction, and different political leaders with their own ambitions, then bringing everybody into one room is the easy part. But getting everybody to sacrifice something is the difficult part. So who becomes the presidential candidate? Who steps aside? Who gets the vice presidential slot? Which party controls the structure? And most importantly, who is willing to say, this time I am supporting somebody else because we believe that is what gives us the best chance of winning? That is the real coalition test. And that is why I don't think Adeleke's endorsement means the opposition coalition is dead. Not at all. Politics can change very quickly. Adeleke can support Tinubu today. Another governor can support the opposition tomorrow. A political party can enter an alliance today and change its position tomorrow. What Osun has actually done is make the situation more complicated, because now we have proof that APC can be defeated. But we also have proof that defeating APC at the state level doesn't automatically translate into defeating Tinubu at the presidential level. And I think that is the real lesson here. So let me ask you something. If you were Peter Obi, Atiku, Seyi Makinde, or any of the people trying to build this opposition coalition, would Adeleke's victory give you confidence? Or would his endorsement of Tinubu worry you? Because personally, I think it does both. It gives the opposition proof that APC can be beaten, but it also reminds them that Nigerian politics is not as simple as APC versus everybody else. There are alliances, there are interests, there are calculations, and between now and 2027, some of these alliances could change completely. So the question isn't whether Osun has decided 2027, It hasn't. The question is whether the opposition trying to challenge Tinubu can turn moments like Osun into a genuine national strategy. Because Adeleke has won Osun, he has thanked Tinubu, he has reaffirmed his support for Tinubu, and now everybody watching Nigerian politics is asking the same question. What happens next? Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Adeleke's endorsement strengthens Tinubu's 2027 chances? Or do you think it changes nothing because Osun's governorship election is completely different from a presidential election? And if you were the opposition, would you still push for a coalition after what just happened in Osun? I genuinely want to hear your opinion. Subscribe because we are going to keep watching this 2027 political story together, and watch this video next.